Today we're making soup nouille sườn, Vietnamese ribs pasta soup. While the word nouille in Vietnamese came from the French nouille, which means noodles, we actually use it to describe non-noodle pasta shapes like macaroni, stars, rigatoni, etc. Likely because we already had the word mi to mean noodles. This is a dish that my mom used to make at least every other week when I was a kid because it is simple, nutritious, and kid-friendly, especially since I was a super picky eater. I actually got pretty sick of this soup because I had to eat it so often, but now as an adult living abroad, I actually love and feel very nostalgic about eating it. Isn't it funny how things change as you get older and how some foods are tied so strongly to your childhood? Pork ribs might be the favorite / most common Vietnamese way to make a simple broth, especially in northern cuisine. Pork rib broth has a lovely natural sweetness and a more neutral flavor compared to beef broth, yet is usually more flavorful than chicken broth and pairs well with most ingredients. There are countless soups made with pork rib or bone broth, like canh măng sườn, bung, bánh, etc. This is also a great make-ahead recipe for a busy week. You can make a large batch of the soup and pasta, or cook the pasta whenever you need to serve, and then store the whole pot of soup in the fridge or divide it into individual servings. For this recipe, you will need pork spare ribs, ideally riblets, which is when center-cut ribs are cut in half lengthwise, so you end up with smaller pieces. Pasta, my mom uses macaroni or the tiny star-shaped pastina. If it's available to you, I recommend buying nouille made by Vietnamese brands like flavorful. They usually make two types, regular yellow nouille and white nouille. The former is made with rice flour, wheat flour, and eggs. They are thinner but more bouncy and less likely to fall apart than regular pasta that you find in the US, which makes them ideal for soup. The latter is made with only rice flour. I highly recommend this over other types of gluten-free pasta. Carrots. You can also add daikon radish if you like. My personal preference is just carrots. Shallots, fish sauce, bouillon, green onion, and other Vietnamese herbs for serving like cilantro and culantro. First, we'll cut the pork riblets into individual pieces and then parboil. You can use full ribs, but riblets are ideal because they are easier to eat and fit better in your bowls of soup when serving. In Vietnam, ribs are almost always sold as pre-cut riblets rather than full racks. Here, I'm cutting in between the bones to separate the rack into individual riblets. Once you've finished cutting up the ribs, add them to a large pot, then pour in enough cold water to cover. Add in a couple of teaspoons of salt, then bring to boil on medium heat. Parboil the ribs for 2 to 3 minutes. This will help extract the impurities. Once done, strain and rinse the ribs well. Return the ribs to a clean pot. Add water, peeled shallots, and bouillon. Bring to boil on medium heat, skimming any impurities and foam that appear on the surface. Once boiling, reduce heat to medium-low, cover and simmer for at least 30 minutes, but preferably 50. In the meantime, we're going to peel and slice our carrots. Slice your carrots into ½ centimeter thick pieces. When I want to be extra fancy, I will cut them into flowers. To do this, I cut the carrot in half. Then I score one end of the carrot piece into 5 equal sections, like cutting a pie. Then I use those lines as guides to cut 5 shallow lines along the length of the carrot. Cut each line into a V-shaped trench by cutting towards the line at a 45-degree angle on either side. Once the trenches are done, now you can slice the carrot crosswise into flour slices. Cook your pasta according to the package instructions in a pot of salted water, then drain and rinse with cold water to stop the pasta from cooking further. Next, we'll chop up the green parts of green onions. For the white parts of green onions, cut into 3 to 4 centimeter lengths, then slice into quarters lengthwise. Prepare any other herbs you are using for serving. Here I am chopping up some ngò gai, also known as culantro, which is my favorite herb for this soup. After the broth is done simmering, add the sliced carrots, cover, increase the heat to medium, and cook until carrots are tender but not mushy, about 7 to 10 minutes. Season the broth to taste with bouillon and fish sauce. To serve, add pasta to bowls. To prevent the pasta from cooling down your broth too quickly, add the pasta to a noodle basket or strainer and dip into the broth to warm up the pasta before adding to your bowls. Divide the ribs and carrots between bowls. Ladle broth into each bowl. Top with the herbs that you have prepared and serve. Let's taste. The best way to serve is with some sriracha. I love this broth. My favorite pieces are the ones with cartilage. So good. Make sure you check out our website and subscribe to our channel for more Vietnamese and French recipes.